Well, astronauts, I've spent countless hours in Starfield, and after many dangerous moments on isolated planets and close calls in space combat, I have returned safely to bring you this spoiler-free review. And yes, Bethesda were not lying when they said this was their biggest game yet. The sheer scale and size of this game is absolutely mind-blowing, and at times it was hard to wrap my mind around it all. From the beautiful cities to the 1,000 planets, the intricate shipbuilding to the awesome weapon designs, and the memorable characters and story, this game is definitely something very, very special indeed. And even now, after playing it for many hours and completing the story campaign, I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. All I want to do is go back into Starfield and just experience more of it and soak it all in. Now, with that dramatic intro out of the way, I will say this game definitely is not perfect, and I'll be talking about that as well in this review, but overall, my experience with Starfield was definitely a positive one. The story, for instance, was a standout part of the game for me. I began by diving into the character creator. I wanted my character to be someone who looked rough around the edges, like he had been through some tough experiences, and as a result, had some street smarts and knew his way around the galaxy. There, I think he looks emotionally damaged enough, don't you? Emotional damage! I also gave my character the Freestar Collective Settler and wanted traits, with a background as a bounty hunter. And this Freestar Collective Settler trait opened up some different dialogue options, like where I could persuade and relate more to other Freestar settlers like Sam Coe, even though I did accidentally kill an entire fleet of Freestar crew members, and my entire crew, including Sarah, Sam, and everyone else, were no longer my friends after this.
The hell is the matter with you?
So yeah, my bad. By the way, that wasn't a story spoiler, that was literally a random occurrence that did happen during my playthrough, which was pretty funny. And this is just one example of the dynamics that you will have between yourself and your crew as you progress through the game, whether you're playing the story or not. And speaking of the actual story, while I won't go into spoilers, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience from beginning to end. In fact, when the credits rolled, I really was at a complete loss of words. For me, the experience really captured a wide range of emotions as I contemplated the many choices my crew members gave me, choices that I would think back on even as the credits rolled. Of course, everyone's experience with the game will be different, and perhaps my love for space in particular makes me that much more invested in a story like this, but even then, Starfield's experience is really like no other and completely unique, making it easily stand out from the rest in my opinion. Also, the music complemented the key moments perfectly, and this really drove the emotion behind each scene in the game. And keep in mind, astronauts, that as you progress throughout the story, there will be numerous random events that will tempt you into going off the beaten path. At one point, I docked to a random space station, and once inside, I discovered that had been completely overrun and abandoned. And then the next moment, after jumping to another system, I was instantly attacked by a fleet of bounty hunters. And this is actually because I'm wanted. Remember that trait at the beginning that I selected? Well, this is the result. If you want more action in your game, definitely select the wanted trait. And while on New Atlantis, I even got captured by the UC for accidentally stealing something, which then turned into a whole story of its own. So the amount of random stuff in this game is just awesome, and it really makes it feel like a real breathing universe. Now, in terms of gameplay, let's talk about the actual experience of boarding and piloting your own ship. There really is nothing like being able to walk up to your ship, enter through the hatch, walk through its corridors, see your crew and talk to them, and then sit in the cockpit and actually lift off into space. I think what also sells this so well isn't only the graphics, but also the sound as well. This is hands down easily some of the best sound design I've heard in a game. Take a listen. And now let's talk about space combat, which I'm happy to report is absolutely amazing. And the pace of combat can be quite intense as well, especially near the beginning of a dogfight when you have to properly route all of your power away from the other systems to your weapon systems. This really tests your ability to stay cool under pressure, and remember, the game has numerous difficulty settings, so if things do get too hot, you can switch difficulty on the fly at any time, which is definitely a good thing. And what about the on-ground gameplay, you ask? Well, once you land on a planet, your character will leave the cockpit and you'll be able to walk around your ship and then exit onto the planet's surface. This never gets old, and it literally gets me excited every time I land on a new planet. Oh, and you can also exit your cockpit while in space and then walk around freely in your ship and talk to your crew members whenever you want to. Now, with the on-ground combat, this plays very well too, just like space combat. The weapons all look and feel weighty and are quite responsive as well, with some weapons packing massive damage with satisfying explosions. I also really enjoyed the variety of weapons too, from ballistic weapons to energy weapons, electromagnetic weapons, and even some surprising gems that you'll find on certain special missions that I will not spoil. Now, grenade throwing, this felt just okay to me, perhaps a little clumsy at times, but you do get used to it after your 10th grenade throw, so it is what it is. Overall though, gameplay feels very smooth, whether you're in first person view or third person view, and I legit loved switching between both views, using first person view primarily for those close quarters indoor situations, and then third person view when I'm outdoors exploring the planets. Also, the jetpack movement works very well too, even in combat. Now, the only thing that I found really tedious about my on-ground experience was the constant inventory management. If your inventory fills up too fast, you become over-encumbered and lose oxygen much faster when you're running, which could result in your character blacking out. So yeah, this was actually quite annoying for me, but I quickly became way more picky about the items I picked up and carried on me, and learned quickly to let go of that plushy toy that I really did not need. And now I gotta talk about the shipbuilding, perhaps one of the biggest features in the game. The shipbuilding part of the game is very detailed and it requires a lot of credits. This is definitely the part of the game that I'm looking forward to diving into way more, especially now that my campaign playthrough is complete. Now, you can swap out the many different ship parts, add cargo space to your ship, add fuel capacity, attach cosmetic parts, and so much more, including changing the color of your ship. And there are also numerous ships you can buy outright, which I ended up doing. And let me tell you, when I received my first brand new ship and walked around it, I felt like a kid again. I can't describe the excitement I was feeling. I was actually surprised about the genuine excitement I got. It was just awesome experiencing this ship and seeing how big the deck was, seeing how big the corridors were, seeing that this was like a double-decker ship that had ladders that you had to climb up to access different areas of the ship. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of the game, and again, I could not wait to dive more into the shipbuilding and ship purchasing. I think it's going to be easily one of the biggest aspects of this game once people dive into this more and more after they play the campaign. Navigating the galaxy is also a crucial part of this game. The galaxy map is an amazing sight to behold. Just look at it. Isn't it beautiful? The galaxy map allows you to pick and choose planets you want to jump to, with mission objectives being marked by a blue icon. And yes, there are really 1,000 planets in this game that you can land on, and what really blew my mind is that these planets also generated random outposts as well, and these outposts were absolutely massive, and a lot of these bases had huge underground facilities. And at one point, a ship randomly flew into the hangar and then just took off. And then there was just a bunch of enemies that I had to face off against. It was very, very impressive stuff indeed. And by the way, if you are wondering if planets are fully explorable on foot, I have the definitive answer on this. So while you can technically land anywhere on a planet's surface, there is a limit to how far you can explore from your ship. It took me about 15 minutes of running in a straight line away from my ship, and then the game warned me that the boundary had been reached, and that I had the option of either flying to another location on the planet to continue exploring or go back to my ship. So honestly, this is no big deal to me. I don't see myself ever wanting to walk a straight line for 15 minutes from my ship. Besides, I'll be busy, raiding random outposts, collecting resources, and building outposts of my own. So seriously, it's no big deal to me. And graphically, this game looks incredible. I did play on the PC with a higher end graphics card, and the game was set to ultra graphics, so I can't speak about what the Xbox version looks like until I try it myself. But I was very impressed with the planets, the interior spaces, the space scenes above planets. The weapons looked great. Ship interiors and exteriors all were extremely detailed, and the character models during dialogue were very impressive as well, with a nice depth of field effect that separated the character from the background. Now, with that said, I did experience some frame rate dips here and there, especially on Aquila City, but when I lowered the resolution, this did improve performance. So I was playing on 4K with ultra graphics, so, lowering the resolution did help in these major city areas. And again, Aquila City seems to be the one area where I experienced some of the frame rate dips the most. New Atlantis, not nearly as much, and the Neon City ran at a perfect 60 frames per second. And again, everyone's going to have a different experience on PC depending on your configuration. Now, one negative aspect about this game is definitely the amount of loading areas. Now, while many of these areas are brief, we're talking like half a second here, they are still there and definitely in abundance. So for instance, if you want to land on a planet like the planet of Jemison to go to the city of New Atlantis, the game will put you into a brief loading screen. Once on New Atlantis, you will then be greeted with another brief loading screen when entering each individual shop. When you exit the shop, there's also a loading screen to load up the entire city again. And, the same can be said for entering your ship or entering outposts. So this is a bummer that these loading screens are present. It would have been nice to just enter shops or enter your ship or different areas without dealing with the numerous loading screens, but it is what it is. I'm guessing it's definitely some type of compromise they have to make with their engine. But overall, again, my experience with Starfield was positive, as you can tell. I am extremely excited for the future of this game. As you know, modding is going to also be a massive part of this game. And of course, there's so much more to Starfield, including how your character progresses with the different mini skills that become available as you level up, the insanely detailed outpost building mechanics, the many different workbenches that allow you to upgrade your suits, weapons, you can craft healing supplies. Also, there's New Game Plus as well. There's countless side missions, activities, and random events, and so much more. And I'll be talking about more of all of this stuff in upcoming videos, of course, so my journey in Starfield isn't even close to being over, and your journey will be the same way. This game has hundreds of hours in it from what I can see, so this is very exciting stuff indeed. And that's going to do it for my review of Starfield, or what I should call my initial review of Starfield, because honestly, I still have so much to do in this game, as I've mentioned before, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think about the game. Of course, the game is releasing early access on September 1st, and then also on September 6th for everyone else, and it will be available on the PC and Xbox Series X and S. And again, come back to this video, leave a comment down below, let me know what your journey in Starfield is like. I cannot wait to hear it. And if you are new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We have a wonderful community of fellow astronauts who share in the passion of Starfield. And again, I'll be posting tons more video content on Starfield right here at the channel. And if you enjoyed the review, hit that like button, and I will see you astronauts all later. Take it easy, take care, and see you later.